Yeah, can you? Can you hear us, Julianne?
Yes, now I can.
Okay. All right, so we're ready to go. So good afternoon and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment Hearings for Suburban Panel 2. We are a City of Ottawa quasi-judicial tribunal that holds public hearings to consider Planning Act applications, including minor variances to the zoning requirements and consents to sever land. Our hearings are now held in person at Ben Franklin Place, 101 Centerpoint Drive. We also enable remote participation by video conferencing for our registered speakers. We are live streaming on YouTube and the video will be archived and available for future viewing by the public. My name is Fabien Poulin. I'll be chairing today's hearings and you can address me by my name or as chair. And with me are my fellow panel members, George Barrett, Heather McLean, and Julianne Wright. Excuse me. The procedure for the hearings will be as follows. Listed on the agenda and appearing on the screen from time to time are the applications we'll hear today. For the sake of efficiency, I may deal with agenda items in a different order. Panel members have reviewed the planning reports and any written submissions in support or in opposition to each of the applications. Today, we'll hear any oral submissions relating to the applications. As part of the statutory notification requirements, each applicant was required to post a sign on the property in question before the hearing. They also had to confirm in writing that they did so, or they'll need to swear or affirm an oath today that they fulfilled the sign posting requirements. Otherwise, we may have to adjourn or postpone the hearing. The panel may ask for a brief presentation of an application followed by questions for the applicant and city planning staff. We will then hear from members of the public who have registered to speak, and we may also have questions for them. Finally, the applicant, who has the burden of proof, will have an opportunity to make the final comments and reply. Please address your comments to me as the chair, starting with your name, only your last name. Yes, that's all we need is just your last name. All presentations are limited to 5 minutes. Any exceptions will be at my discretion. At the end of the hearing, the panel may either make an oral decision or we may reserve our decision, which means it won't be delivered today. In either case, and within 10 days, the Committee of Adjustment will send the official written decision and reasons for it to all parties, participants, and anyone else who has requested a copy. Does anyone have any questions about the procedure we'll be following today? No questions, thank you. We have several applications to hear today, but we first need to deal with some preliminary procedural matters. Are there any declarations of interest? George? No. Ms. McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am declaring a potential perceived non-pecuniary conflict of interest under the city's code of conflict for local boards on panel 3's agenda this morning on item 2, an application A00105 by Madame E. Homes for property at 1883 Stittsville Main Street as a member of my husband's family is employed by the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We now have to deal with some adjournment requests. We have several. I'll call each one up by their address. Application number 3 having to do with 1301 Heron Road. And I'm looking for C. Sun.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, this is Chang, architect. So I'm living in Canada, 33 Burland Drive.
Thank you very much. So we understand that the planning has asked for an adjournment for the applicant to apply for additional variances. Are you in agreement with that, sir?
Yes, we agree. The reason we're asking for the adjournment because we got the information addition just about 10 days before the hearing about the road widening. So that is significant change the site function.
Okay,
So we can come back to work with the planner to find the solution.
perfect. So we'd like to, I think, adjourn this application sine die. Are you in agreement with that, sir?
Yeah, we agree.
Okay. I'd like to ask the panel for approval of the adjournment of this application sine die. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application has been adjourned. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And we have the next one, which also is yours, 1307 Heron Road, another application that requires additional variances. Are you in agreement with the sine die adjournment, sir?
Yeah, I agree. The same condition. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to ask the panel if they agree with adjourning this application sine die. All those in favor, please raise your hands. So this application as well is adjourned sine die. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. And the next application up for adjournment is 827 Ridell. I'm looking for Mr. Jabber or A. Jabber. Good afternoon. So I understand that your variance has changed slightly from 7.7 meters to 7.61 meters. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, that's not really the change. Mistaken.
You need to push your, there you go.
Sorry. Yes, it's not a mistake. It was just a difference in the calculation. So we took the measurement along the frontage, which was diagonal rather than perpendicular. But the Committee of Adjustment recommended that we can go through ahead because
Okay.
nothing else changed.
I think there was something that we were looking for, which is a surveyor certificate. Did you provide that?
Yeah, the POS is provided, yeah.
And you're going to be able to show that to us during the presentation of your application?
The survey plan?
Yep.
Yeah, I have it. yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Okay, so to that end, would you like to proceed today?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'd like to ask the panel if they would just like to proceed with this application in line as with others. All those in favor, please raise your hands. So the application will be heard in line. Thank you very much, Mr. Jabber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Our next application up for adjournment is application number 8, having to do with 3845 Cambrian. I'm looking for E. Saunders.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Good afternoon. And I guess you too are looking for an adjournment.
Correct. Through you, Chair, we had previously come to the committee last month at the beginning of May for an adjournment to this date in order to allow us to provide us time to prepare revised drawings. For some additional context, we were informed by our client, Loblaw in this case. We are proposing a no-frills grocery store. Loblaw undertook a redesign of their prototype for the store. And as a result, our plans have changed and we wanted to provide the latest plans to the committee for approval. And we had proposed an adjournment to this date, but which we regret, the timing was a little bit off and we require just a little bit more time. So we're requesting an adjournment to the July 8th date, as we believe that provides us enough time to finalize our drawings as the prototype has been finished and it's minor tweaks at this point.
How are we, Madam Secretary Treasurer?
Mr. Chair, the agenda has not been set yet for July 8th, so there would be space.
Okay. So I'd like to ask the panel if they'd like to adjourn this application to July the 8th. All those in favor, please raise your hands. So you're adjourned to July the 8th. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, our last application that may or may not be up for adjournment has to do with 121 James Cummings, and I'm looking for a G. Scolon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. My name is Timothy Bede. Gabby Scullen has sent her regrets. I'll be here on behalf of the applicant.
Okay, now this can either proceed today or be adjourned. The only thing we want to, same sort of idea as one of the previous applications. We just want to make sure that we have an updated survey. Do you have that in your presentation package?
I have that available to present. It's not included in the presentation package, but we have been working with the RBCA closely to ensure that the new survey accurately and adequately maps the floodplain, and they have indicated that is sufficient, and they no longer have concerns with the application before you.
It's great that they've got it, but we'd like to have a copy of it too.
Yes, and I have sent it into our contact with the Committee of Adjustment.
Okay, did we receive that?
Mr. Chair, Committee of Adjustment Office has not received a copy of the plan.
Okay, do you have a copy with you now?
I do, sir.
Okay, could you maybe pass it to one of the committee staff and maybe we can get some printed?
If
Photocopy?
we can get it by email, we can show it on the screen, but we need it sent now.
Okay, can you get it to us by email?
Yes, I understood that the RBCA had communicated and sent that to them, so I apologize if it hasn't been
But that's
received.
the RBCA. The committee did not get it.
No, I understand.
Okay,
Yes.
so
yes,
can you
yes,
send
I
it to us by email?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so do you have? Pardon me? Take it in order. Yeah. So to that end, panel, I'd like to suggest that we hear this application in order. All those in favor, please raise your hands. So we'll hear your application in order, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay. So now we have to address those applications that are unopposed. And the unopposed applications, in order to qualify for this quick decision, there has to be no objections or concern from the parties, that is the applicant, the city, or the public. There are no amendments required. There are no registered speakers. A signed posting declaration has been received. The applicant or their agent has confirmed that they agree with all requested conditions, if any, and there are no questions from panelists. Today, we have 3 applications on this unopposed list. And the first one has to do with 98 Bearbrook. So to that end, I'd like to ask the panel if they'd like to approve this application. All those in favor, please raise your hands. This application has been approved. Next application on the unopposed list is 370 Huntmar. All those in favor of approving this application, please raise your hands. This application has been approved. And the last application is 81 Burland. This application is also up for approval. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Are we supposed to be redoing this one? Hang on. Yes, I'm sorry. There is a question from one of the panelists. So regretfully, Mr. Jelkowski, we're going to have to hear this application in order. Okay, so that ends our unopposed applications. Now we'll proceed to hear these applications in order. And to that end, I'd like to ask the applicant for 324 Tucana to come down. I'm looking for C. Nguyen.
Good afternoon, panel members. My name is Chris Nguyen. I live at 324 Tucana Way.
Good afternoon. Would you like to give us a brief description of your application today?
Yes, I would. I prepared a presentation, sir.
Sure.
So today I'm presenting on behalf of my parents, Fu Nguyen and Lee Trong. I see that the timer is going, but the presentation isn't up.
Okay. We can still, fear not, you're going to have lots of time.
Okay, sounds good, sir. So today I'll be presenting my family situation and motive for the minor variances, going over a renovation plan, and providing solutions to staff's concerns about our application. Next slide, please. Next slide. So I grew up in the house for which we were applying for the minor variances. Last December, I had to move home with my partner. We always knew that my parents would never be able to live in a retirement home, but as the economy stands, it's very challenging for them to even be able to stay in their own home without our help, as property taxes and the cost of living keep rising. My parents were selfless enough to welcome us home and give us the second floor of the home so we could have enough bedrooms to have kids one day. Since December, they've been spending most of their time in the basement, which is very cold and lacks sunlight. We want to renovate the garage to give my parents access to sunlight and limit their use of stairs. And for a little bit of backstory, my parents immigrated to Canada from Vietnam. They've worked hard on their feet for the past 40 years, prioritizing giving my older brother and me an education so we could become contributing citizens. Due to limited income, they don't have a pension to fall back on and have to rely on their own savings to sustain themselves in retirement. Beyond needing the space to alleviate my mom's arthritis and knee pain, all seniors deserve healthy and accessible living spaces. Next slide, please. We're working with Maverick Home Builders to convert our garage into a living space with the proper insulation, heating, flooring, and aesthetic touches. We're applying for these minor variances because it's very important to us to undertake the renovation correctly. The contractor has already applied and been approved for the authorized building permits, which are now just conditional upon the minor variances. Here's how our application meets the 4 tests. So our variances are minor with no call to structural change to the property or to the driveway. Our variances are desirable for the appropriate development of the property because the renovation will enhance the usability of our home while maintaining the structural integrity of the property and the appearance of the neighborhood. We'll also maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw because we're not going to hinder city services or nature, and we're requesting exceptions that are reasonable and justified. The draft new bylaw also recognizes residents' increasing need for parking flexibility and affordable housing, as proven by the fact that it will eliminate our need for 2 out of the 3 minor variances we're asking for today. Finally, our variances are in line with the official plan because it facilitates the concept of intensification and sustainability. Intensification, as per the City of Ottawa's documents, renews and injects new life into existing spaces of the city, allowing new generations of residents to inhabit existing neighborhoods. Moreover, a multi-generational home is the essence of social and environmental sustainability. It allows multiple generations to come together and support each other while also reducing energy consumption through common spaces, appliances, and utilities. Next slide, please. So staff expressed concern with the creation of front yard parking and parking along the front wall of the property. However, the new zoning bylaw, subsection 6044 and 8, will allow for 1 front yard parking space per lot and front yard parking in the case of garage conversions. Additionally, the committee previously approved the minor variances for 1880 Kilburn Avenue. The planner responsible for that application didn't raise front yard parking as a concern because they favored the gentle intensification that family would achieve through their garage conversion. In regards to the concern about our parking space encroaching onto the city right away, I recognize that the parking space requirement in detached dwellings and lots are different. The length requirement in lots is significantly less at 4.6 meters. However, those confines were legislated because they're all that's required for compact cars, which we have. The difference between the accepted 4.6 meters in lots and what we have, 4.47 meters, is only 0.13 meters or 13 centimeters too short, which to put into perspective is just the length of my iPhone. 4.47 meters is also our property length at its shortest point. You could see as per the survey plan, the first image, that line runs diagonally. Even if we were held to the full length requirement, we'd only be 0.73 meters or 28 inches too short, which is about the width of a computer monitor. Most importantly, however, the designated authority right-of-way management expressed no concerns with the reduced parking space proposal. According to them, there is enough room there is no sidewalk within the existing driveway. There's enough room for the reduced parking space. You could see both of our cars parked in the second image with ample space left over. And the variance does not affect the existing private approach. Last slide, please. So in conclusion, our application's main request is for the committee to accept our reduced parking space of 4.47 meters. In considering the decision, I earnestly ask that the panel members prioritize affordable housing and healthy living environments for elders over parking technicalities. The committee's decision will have a significant impact on my parents' well-being and happiness, as their greatest wish is to allow for them to continue to live with us and one day their future grandchildren. We also sincerely hope to set precedent for seniors who are already in or might be in a similar position to my parents one day. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, now I'd like to ask the panel if they've got any questions for Ms. Nguyen. Ms. McLean? Mr. Barrett? No, not this time. And Ms. Wright?
No, I don't.
Okay. Can you just call up the presentation and can we look at the picture of the two cars in the laneway? Is that your home?
Yes, sir.
So nothing's really going to change about the footprint of your home.
Nothing, sir. It's just, we already use our garage just to store junk, but because we would renovate the garage, we would officially be taking away that parking space. And that's why we had to go through this whole process. But we even talked to our home neighbors. They already park on their driveway as well. Some have shorter driveways than us. But yeah, it's been 6 months. We've been going through this process, happily going through the process that is in place for a reason. But we really think what we're asking for is reasonable.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to ask our city's planning department for their comments on this application.
Thank you, Chair. I do not have any further concerns to add other than the ones mentioned in my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Ms. McLean, do you have any questions for planning?
No.
Okay. Ms. Wright, do you have any questions for planning?
I'm just curious, I mean, way back when the house was built, this is to planning. Should the fact that the driveway is only 4.47, if that's the correct number, away from the city of Ottawa right of way, should that not have been flagged back when the property was built? Or did the city just sort of consider the right of way as part of the driveway to make it 5.2?
So right now, before the renovations, the legal parking space is actually the attached garage.
Of course. Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
That's
Mr.
fine.
Barrett, Mr. Barrett, do you have any questions for planning?
Yes, just a question to staff. In the report, it mentions the new zoning bylaw coming to our attention with regards to, which will allow one front yard parking space on a lot and will allow for parking space in the front yard in the case of the garage conversion to allow for parking flexibility and affordable housing. That does not come in play today, but that's possibly the future, right? Is that what I'm?
Right now, the draft of the new zoning bylaw says will be allowing front yard parking, but it will be for one parking space, and the parking space has to be located entirely on the lot, on the private lot. So my understanding is that even if the new zoning bylaw is passed as it stands today, minor variance would be required to allow this situation.
Thank you.
Ms. Eincran, if you saw the picture with those two cars parked in the laneway, practically speaking, I guess, every day, most of the time, they're parked in the laneway? So people park in the laneway on a regular basis? Okay. Thank you. I got a nod so I didn't hear her, but I got a nod. Okay. Now I'd like to ask if there's anyone from the public that would like to make a presentation on this application. Anyone in-house? Anyone online?
No, Mr. Chair.
No one online. So we don't have anybody looking to speak from the public. So now I'd like to ask the panel if they would like to reserve on this application. Anyone like to reserve, please raise your hand. This application will be reserved. You'll receive our written decision in 10 days.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, our next application we'll hear today has to do with 740 Springland. And I'm looking for Christine McQuaig.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of committee.
Good afternoon. Would you like to make a brief presentation on this application?
Absolutely, I can take you through a brief presentation. I did send one to the committee if they want to bring it up. I can certainly get started now. So the application is in reference to a subject lot that is sort of located within the triangle, sort of east of Riverside, Airport Parkway, and Walkley Road. It's located kind of in its own little island between Norbury and Springland that you can see on the screen now. The subject site, if I can actually just take you to slide number 6, just to condense the presentation and to give a little bit of history. The subject site does have 4 existing buildings on site. 3 are mid-rise and 1 is high-rise. A few years ago, there was a site plan approval for 3 new buildings on this subject site, being buildings A, B, and C, which you can see outlined in red rectangles towards the road frontage. Those buildings at the time were approved for 5 stories, 5 stories, and 4 stories. We approached the City of Ottawa with a site plan revision application to seek 1-story addition to each of those 3 buildings. So they would in turn be 6 stories, 6 stories, and 5 stories. The maximum zoning permitted building height for this particular lot is 18 meters. And so the buildings with their current height, buildings A and B specifically, are going to be 18.6 meters and 18.5 meters. So we are seeking today a minor variance to permit an increase to allow that additional story, which only goes over the maximum permitted zoning height by approximately half a meter. We are in our zoning relief request seeking 19 meters, simply to acknowledge the fact that these buildings are being constructed on an existing built site that already has sort of sidewalks all around and parking areas. And just in terms of allowing that little bit of construction flexibility, we rounded up to 19 meters. But the elevations as they've been designed, building A will be 18.6 and building B will be 18.5 meters. And if I can take you to slide number 8. Oh, just one back a little bit. So the blue line across the elevation is that 18-meter maximum permitted building height, and the red line is the building height that we would be seeking. And this is particularly in relation to, I believe this is building A. And then I'll just take you to slide 10. So with regards to whether this variance is minor, the actual increase is very minor at 0.6 and 0.5 meters over the permitted building height. It's not visibly perceptible in sort of real world conditions from the pedestrian realm. It's minor relief, which will allow for the increase of approximately 50 units across those 3 buildings. So not per building, but in total. Next slide, please. So whether the variance meets the intent and purpose of the official plan. The official plan direction is to allow for residential intensification that's contextually appropriate and that is serviceable. This subject site permits already mid and high-rise development through the existing R5B zone approved by council. The proposed additions of buildings A, B, and C, which are site plan approved already, and a site plan revision to allow this 1-story increase, will reflect the permissions for that 6-story allowance on the site, which is what 18 meters is essentially intended for. As the proposed development and revision is considered contextually appropriate for intensification, that minor relief does meet the intent and purpose of the official plan. And whether the variance meets the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, the purpose of the R5 zone is to allow a variety of dwelling types and densities, including mid-rise, as well as high-rise in the R5 zone. The specific zone approved for this site, permitting 18 meters, is generally allowed to intend for 6-story building height, which is what we're seeking. So this proposed increase will not only support the permitted mid-rise building height, but it will serve to add additional units and support intensification in a manner that is consistent with the intent of the site-specific zoning. And then with the last test, the next slide, please. Whether the variances are supportable for the use of the land, the proposed variance will have the effect of creating a built form that is only 0.6 at most taller than the permitted 18-meter building height, and will ensure that the 6-story intent of the zone is being actualized and that the 1-story addition to each of the 3 permitted residential dwellings will add needed apartment rental units to the area, with the inclusion of some affordable housing upon approval from CMHC. They don't have approval from CMHC yet, but they are going in that direction. And it's in a community that has, a lot of access to transit, amenities, and especially green spaces with Mooney's Bay Park. So this proposed variance supports provincial policy direction and supports intensification in a compatible manner on an already developed site where mid-rise buildings already exist. We have received all of the comments to date. I have responded to every comment that we have received. The majority of comments were site plan related. And I have sent all of the comments that we've received to the counselor as well as my responses. And I've ensured that the file lead for the site plan revision is also aware of the site plan comments that have come in through the minor variance application. Thank you. I'm available for further questions.
Thank you very much. So, Ms. Wright, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Just a question. When you say that you responded to all the comments, those are the comments from the neighbors, the two members of the public?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, I have responded to both neighbors that have written comments to Committee of Adjustment.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Barrett, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No, I don't.
Ms. McLean? Okay, I don't have any questions either. So I'd like to ask planning for their comments. And so Ms. King?
Yep. Oh, sorry. Give me 1 second there. Yep. No further comments from us, but happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Ms. Wright, any questions for Ms. King? No? Okay. Mr. Barrett?
No,
Ms. McLean? Okay. I don't have any questions either. So I'd now like to ask the public. There is one registered speaker. I'm looking for Dave Coyle. I'm not sure whether he's here. Hello. Just a second. I just want to see if he's online because he was going to be either here or online.
Mr. Chair, he is online.
Okay. So we'll deal with him first and I'll come back to you. Okay. Mr. Coyle.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Coyle. You'd like to make a presentation on this application?
I would just like to speak on the application.
Sure.
Mr. Chair, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Mr. Coyle. I live about 200 meters to the southwest on Waterview Court of this site and have been there since 79. I've raised a family of 4, which we now have 8 grandkids. We barely would know that this site is there because of the green lands and trees. I'm also the board chairperson, president of the Riverside Park Community Association for the last 5 years. We've been established for 40 years as a nonprofit in the area. I participate on the Public Advisory Committee to Confederation and Heights, which is just around the corner from this site, and Planning Secretary for the Federation of Citizens Associations, which represents about 65 community associations. And I have been recently contacted by Riley Brockington and Christine. And I have, for the first time, looked at the test, and I've gone through the test. My comments is that in 1960, this was a innovative, high-rise, high-density development. It was 8 times any other density of the surrounding properties. And therefore, it was built into the neighborhood. And currently, under the official plan and the bylaws, River Ward on a whole is at 82% of its objective. If it was 46% growth, so we're almost twice what the official plan requires us to grow at, and that's on the books. So this is in south of Heron, so it's outer urban. And so under the official plan, my understanding is that the intensification for this area is to be 46%, and we are at 82%, that it's to be a complete neighborhood and active transportation at 49%. Trips made. My concern is that the surrounding environment, the density developments, where we've converted a parking lot, a school, and a shopping center, this development is only 1/3 of that density. As in, if we are going to take care of our green space, we definitely have to increase our density. We definitely have to go vertical. The other issue is that because of this density, and it just comes with density, is that our equity indicator is in the red zone of high concern. We are very monozoned. We have minimum active transportation. We are in the red zone as far as greenhouse gas emissions go, congestion. Most of our plans appear to be off developments, and so on. So I have an ask for a consideration, I guess it's mainly to the developer, is that and I applaud the fact that the target that Christina's told me about is 20% affordable to be sustained. To be competitive in this area, I would ask that they consider not a minor variance, I don't know, maybe it is a minor variance, that they increase their elevation by 2 floors. That they would therefore be competitively positioned with the developments that are currently occurring at the docks, the Burgell, and the Reveille. So this development has fallen behind the times. And one of the more important things for all of the issues and challenges that we face is that we have a competitive neighborhood that provides revenue opportunities, that this second floor be considered to be a site-through floor that would offer commercial availability to the neighborhood as a whole. This is currently in all of the sites that of this caliber in our neighborhood, and that we are able therefore to talk to the city about establishing a BIA, better property tax rating, social programming, and bylaw attention.
1 minute, sir.
And that is my request.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to ask the panel if they have any questions for Mr. Coyle. Mr. Barrett, do you have any questions for Mr. Coyle?
Not at this time.
Okay, Ms. McLean? Okay, Ms. Wright, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Coyle. Appreciate your input. Now I'd like to ask Ms. McQuaig if you'd like to have the last word, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry, we've got one more person. Are you looking to speak too, sir? Okay, so you have to come down here and get a form and fill the form out. Come on down, ma'am. Can you please state your last name? And you need to press the little button to get your green light on.
Hi, my name is Miss Dugan. I'm here as a concerned resident of 2660 Norbury Crescent.
You'd like to make your presentation? Please go ahead.
Oh, I don't have a presentation.
Oh.
I found it nearly impossible to find any information about what was going on in the neighborhood. And in fact, almost all of my neighbors, everyone that I know on my floor, had no idea that this plan was still in place. We all thought that it had been rectified years ago and it was not going to happen. So I definitely have a question about this being a minor variance when you're asking for a small, peaceful community to accommodate 6-story buildings. Because let me make this clear, right now, those buildings don't exist. They are 0-floor buildings. So adding a story to an imaginary building is not a minor variance. We are looking at green space. We are looking at places where children play in our community. And you're asking us to tear up the parking lots and tear up the lawns and put up 6-story buildings where there are no buildings. So I'm really wondering how this could possibly count as a minor variance.
Because they're allowed to do what they want to do, and they're just asking for another increase in the height of the building. They're
Yeah.
allowed to do it.
Okay, I understand that they're allowed to do it, but I have significant concerns regarding the ethics of this proposal, especially considering where the sign was posted. Do you mind showing, like, on your presentation, the map of the buildings? Could you do that?
I'll ask committee staff to do that for us. The site plan, I think, was what they're looking for.
Yeah, the site plan.
Maybe slide number 6. Be easy.
I think it's the other way. There you go. Okay,
Can I approach that diagram and point at it?
sure you can.
Okay. So, for context, this is the Norbury building. It's the tallest one, it's the nicest one. I live right here. And all in between these buildings is parking lots and green space. 740 Springland was declared to be the site of this accommodation, or trying this variance. And the sign, with which there was one sign, was posted here. And it was posted very small, it was posted in a bush. The only reason that I even knew about this hearing is because I live in Norbury Crescent and I walked the bus. And that's the only conceivable way that anybody from these buildings would pass that sign. So I'm questioning why this wasn't made obvious to the residents.
Madam Secretary Treasurer, can you tell us how far reaching the mail out went?
So, Mr. Chair, the mail out was to neighbors within 60 meters. However, tenants would not receive the notice. It goes to the owner of the building.
Okay.
And the sign must be posted in a legible location facing a public street.
Okay. Yes, Ms. McQuaid.
Through you, Mr. Chair, there were 2 signs that were posted. I posted one in front of Building A. There is a bush there. I tried to put it right in front of the bush. And then I posted the other sign in front of where Building B will be. So there were 2 signs posted. And I do have pictures, which I can send to committee if necessary.
Okay, so the owner of your building did receive the notification.
Yeah, we didn't receive any indication from our building manager that this was being undergone. And I think that if it had been posted more widely, there would be a lot more tenants here today.
Okay. So your arguments have to be to the 4 tests on the variances. So it's already been noted that the sign posting, there were 2 of them, and it was done in accordance with the rules. So I don't know why your owner did not provide you with the information that you're seeking.
Yeah, I don't understand either.
Yeah, well, you have to take it up with him. or her.
Okay.
Ms. McQuaid.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will note that while there is an existing site plan approval, we do have to go through a site plan revision application process. So tenants or members of the public can reach out to the file lead at the City of Ottawa to relay their comments or concerns if they have them through that avenue as well.
Okay, so you still have another shot, another time.
Okay.
Put it together.
I did call and request details of this proposal. And I didn't get the email.
Well, you should be able to go online and look up the address and all of the application forms and reports are all there.
Okay.
Okay, that'll give you greater detail for you.
Yeah. I would love to know, can I ask, what does the committee think of this proposal?
We're not going to be deliberating or debating that here.
Oh, I just was curious.
No, we just don't do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So have any of you been to Norbury Crescent? Been to those residences?
I don't think that's material, ma'am.
No? Okay.
No.
I'm just a member of the public and
I know,
just-
I appreciate that. We appreciate your input, but we're an independent group and we try to just stay independent. We don't
Okay.
want to give any advice. We don't want to give any opinions. We'll just listen to the evidence and then we'll make a decision.
Right.
Okay? Thank you. Now, there's one more person, I think, wants to speak. Come on down. Can you just state your last name, sir?
Hello, Gil.
Thank you.
I too live on Norbury Crescent. I live at 2637 Norbury Crescent, so dead ahead of one of these developments. And first of all, I'd like to say that I am in complete agreement with my neighbor. I didn't realize that I had to do things such as register to be able to speak. I'm appreciative that I'm able to at least register on site. That is nice. I think it should have been more, I think the signage should have been more clear about how to participate in this Discord. There was really no indication other than come to the meeting. Also, I find it funny that you would mail the letter to the owner of the building, who are the ones who are the applicants for the permit, so they have a vested interest in it for the people who live in the neighborhood not to, fight. So that's kind of humorous. As for like the four variables, I don't think it's a minor exception to raise this building to create a whole extra floor. I'm with my neighbor. I'm in a complete disagreement with this project. So, I understand that at this meeting, all we can do is talk about the current subject that's being brought up, which is a minor variance. I disagree completely. I believe this to be a whole extra floor is how many extra people. The neighborhood is unfortunately not cared after. The sidewalks are in disrepair. I walk them every day. The roads are not good. I walk them every day. There's an issue with speeding drivers in an already dense neighborhood. Parking is nowhere to be found, and now people are clogging up the streets with more and more cars, parking further and further away from those buildings. I mean, this goes back to the original building code. Again, I understand this is just about the height variation, but with those buildings, it takes away green space for children playing on, which I see with my own eyes since I live there. Dog walkers. Yeah, I just, again, sorry to repeat myself, but I disagree that this is minor. I think this is major.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'd like to ask the
Thank
panel,
you.
just hang on, we may have some questions from the panel. Ms. Wright, do you have any questions for the public? No? Okay. Ms. McLean? Okay. Mr. Barrett? No? No questions from the panel. Thank you very much for your input.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Now, Ms. McQuaig, if you'd like to give us your last word.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have looked at this site, obviously a number of times over the years. It does have site plan approval for the existing 3 buildings. The application here today is simply to add an additional story, with the relief being requested for at most an additional 0.6 meters above the existing permitted zoning height. We believe that this application does meet the 4 tests. And as I have noted, it is going through site plan revision application. And so comments related to, building conditions or sidewalk conditions and all of those municipal related matters, or even site plan related matters, stormwater management, et cetera, can be relayed to the file lead through the site plan revision process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, I'd like to ask the panel if they would like to reserve on this application. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application will be reserved and we'll have a decision in writing in about 10 days. Thank you very much. Okay, I think now we are on 98 Bear Brook, is that correct?
Mr. Chair, 827 Ridell.
Oh, sorry, 827 Ridell.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, panel members.
Good afternoon. Would you just give us your last name, sir?
Yeah, Mr. Jaber.
Would you like to give us a brief description of your application, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. If the Committee of Adjustment can bring up the presentation, please. So 827 Rydell, we're applying for a minor variance for a new semi-detached with basement SDU development. If you can go to the next slide, please. Currently, 827 Rydell is a very old bungalow that is in disrepair, and it's sitting on a very big lot, over 600 meters square. Next slide, please. We're proposing to build a semi-detached to make better use of the land with basement SDU. So we're proposing to add 4 units on that lot instead of just 1. Next slide, please. This is the proposed site plan of the new development. So you can see that we're pretty much using up as much as we can from the lot and respecting all the setbacks in the front, side, and rear. Next slide, please. The minor variance requested for the R2F zoning lot is they require a minimum 10-meter lot width and 300 meters squared minimum lot area. We're proposing a lot width of 7.61 meters, which requires a minor variance, whereas the lot area is still, after the division, 317.4 meters squared, which still meets the minimum requirements. Next slide, please. There's quite a few similar adjacent properties, 3 examples here: 835, 837 Rydell, 831, 833 Rydell, and 839, 841 Rydell are all similar semi-detached that are right adjacent to the proposed property here, the development. Next slide, please. And so to evaluate the 4 tests, for the first test, does the proposal maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan? We're trying to make efficient use of the service land in an established area. We fulfill the goal of the official plan to add urban intensification, and the location supports the use of many city public transit initiatives. Next slide, please. Second test is, does the proposal maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? So yes, it does. We are allowed to have semi-detached on the R2F zoning. We're compatible with existing land use patterns of the neighborhood, and the proposed development matches similar adjacent developments as shown in the previous slides. Next slide, please. Is the proposal, third test is the proposal desirable for the appropriate development or use of the land? So the current property is in disrepair. It would take a tremendous amount of money to put it up back to be habitable again. The renovation would not serve the neighborhood, and it wouldn't make good use of the land. And then this project would add 4 livable dwellings instead of a single dwelling, which is in line with the intensification of the city of Ottawa. And next slide, please. And is the proposal minor in nature? Yes, it is. We only require the lot width to be reduced from 10 meters to 7.61 meter. And that's something that's been done on the adjacent properties, as we saw in the semi-detached dwellings that are adjacent. And that pretty much concludes the presentation here, and I'm available for any questions. And
Sure. I think at the outset, before, when we moved it to a non-adjourned application, we were looking for an updated survey. Do you have a copy of that somewhere?
yeah, so during the other presentations, I sent it to the Committee of Adjustment. So if they can bring that up. Yeah, there it is. Perfect. So if you can maybe just zoom in to the front there, to the front of the lot.
Is this, no, that doesn't provide you.
No, that's not the one. Sorry, you had the right one before. Yeah, that's the one. If you could just zoom in to the frontage. That's good. So you can see, sorry, the frontage is on the
On the bottom.
bottom side, yeah. Right, exactly. So that's the existing dwelling, as you can see there. The frontage is 15.50 meters wide. And so we used that originally to get the 7.71, I think, meters, which is when we wrote the application. And then after deliberating with the Committee of Adjustment, they mentioned that they wanted that the front lot width be measured perpendicular to the side lots. And so because of that little angle difference, we went from 7.71 to 7.61, which is 0.09 meters difference. Nothing changes in the plan. The plan is accurate. It was just where the measurement was taken, and that was just rectified with the Committee of Adjustment.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask the panel if they have any questions. Ms. Wright, do you have any questions?
I
Okay,
just want to clarify, I believe this is not a long semi-detached, which requires the 10 meters. It's just a semi-detached, which requires 9 meters, correct?
Yeah, so in the application, I put it in as a short, so 9 meters, but I think in the Committee of Adjustment, when they wrote their comments, it was 10 meters. So I just took the worst case of the two. But either way, so either we're going from 10 to 7.61 or from 9 to 7.61, which would be an even smaller difference. So I
Okay.
agree with you.
maybe save that question for planning. Okay, Mr. Barrett, do you have any questions? No, I don't. Ms. McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think with regard to the lot width measurement, we're looking for a surveyor's confirmation that the lot width measured the distance of the front yard back, I think, is in fact the 7.61. So I'm not seeing that on that survey plan.
So the survey plan is to scale. So if you were to take a measurement perpendicular to the sidelines, you would get the 7.61 meter correctly.
Measured at the front yard setback.
Correct. At 6 meters setback, that's correct.
So you understand that if that is not correctly done, normally we would have a surveyor certification.
Okay.
So you understand that if that's not correct, you may be back here reapplying. So as long as you understand that risk.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, now I'd like to ask our planning department, or sorry, the city's planning department to have some comments on this application.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the planning department has no concerns with this application, but to clarify, we're dealing with a semi-detached dwelling, which has a required width of 9 meters, which they're requesting to reduce to 7.61.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question, Ms. Wright? Okay. Ms. McLean, you have any questions for the planner? Mr. Barrett? No, I don't. Okay, no questions from me either. Okay, so I'd like to see if there's anybody from the public that would like to have make some comments on this application. And I have one resident, Amanda Rashmi, that has applied to speak.
They're online, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
Perhaps while we're waiting for them to come into the hearing, you could make the amendments to the variances on the floor.
sure. So the amendment required is to a variance A, which is to permit a reduced lot width of 7.61 meters, whereas the bylaw requires a minimum lot width of 9 meters. And variance B to permit a reduced lot width of 7.61 meters, whereas the bylaw requires a minimum lot width of 9 meters. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Rashmi, are you there?
Hi, yes, I am. Thank you for taking my call. My concern, me and the neighbors, is just a quick one. It's about the asbestos in the house. We have a lot of kids in the neighborhood and we're always playing between that property and mine. And there's about 20 children that are always on the roads. I'm adjacent, I'm right next door to you. I'm about 5 feet away from you. So it does concern me a little bit. I'm just wondering what your plans are for the removal of the asbestos.
Mr. Jabber?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I definitely share your concern. It's a house that was built in the 50s, so there's definitely a high risk of asbestos being in the property. Ultimately, it's the responsibility of the contractor to make sure that when they do the demolition, they do it in accordance with the health and safety regulations. As the agent of the applicant, I mean, we will make sure that that message is passed on to the contractor.
Okay, so it will be removed then before demolition, I'm assuming in a professional manner?
Again, it is the responsibility of the contractor to do that. And yes, they have to do it in accordance with all the safety regulations to make sure that the people that are working on site are safe, as well as the neighborhood.
Okay, I appreciate, thank you. Sorry, do you know when demolition could be around approximately?
I'm not sure. It depends on when we get the permits.
Okay, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr.
pleasure.
Chair.
So, Mr. Jabber, on this remediation of the asbestos, now, have you contracted with a remediation specialist?
No, so I'm acting as the engineer on file.
I see, okay.
Right? And so it is going to be the responsibility of the contractor on site to make sure that they study what they're demolishing and to make sure that they are within the health and safety regulations. So we will pass the message along, of course, to the owner and to make sure that he passes that message along to the contractor. Because like I said, it is a high risk 1950s home. So there's a very elevated chance that there is asbestos.
Because designated substance report has to have been made. Have you done one of those?
Correct. Yes, we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've already described that you do have to hire someone that knows how to
Oh,
remediate
absolutely.
the
Absolutely.
asbestos.
It has to be a professional that is regulated and licensed to do so.
Okay. Does that help you, Ms. Rashmi? She's gone? Okay. All right. So do we have anyone else from the public who'd like to make a comment? Or ask a question? Okay. No other questions from the public. So we'll give it to you, Mr. Jabber, to have the last word.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Chair and panel members. I appreciate being here. This is the first time I apply for a minor variance, so I appreciate everybody's patience and working with me on the small miscalculations and things like that. I think what we're asking for is quite reasonable and in line with what the neighborhood is already seeing. We're proposing to, intensify the population in that neighborhood and, create a fostering environment for future families there.
Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I'd like to ask the panel if they'd like to reserve on this decision. All those in favor, please raise your hands. We will be reserving on this decision and you'll receive our written notification of our decision in 10 days.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next item is 98 Bearbrook. Right?
Mr. Chair, sorry, it's 81 Burland.
Okay, so we got through that one. Okay. So next one is 81 Burland, Mr. Jalkotsi.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon. Am I to, just a little bit of housekeeping, am I to believe that we're supposed to be deleting variance B here?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so panel, I'd like to let you know that we're going to be deleting variance B on this application. Okay, Mr. Jalkowski, please proceed with a brief description of your application.
Okay, if you want to put up the presentation, please. The site is located in an outer urban transit. The site is just off Carling Avenue and is close to transit and shops and services. Next slide, please. This project has been subject to an application previously for a low-rise apartment building of 7 units. That application was partially refused. The client has come to us and we took a look at the site and decided that a much more appropriate building form for a transitional site between a main street and a residential neighborhood was a 3-door row dwelling. Each dwelling unit has 3 units in it, a primary and 2 additional dwelling units. There are now 4 parking places placed on the property, so therefore no minor variances are required for parking. The issues that were concerned the neighbors as well in the last application were both green space and parking. And so we feel that by increasing the amount of green space that we have on the property significantly over the previous application, and increasing the parking on site, that we've addressed those concerns. And as far as I understand it, at this time, I haven't received anything. We did flyer the neighborhood, both blocks along that street, and as well the block that butts onto the back of this property. Next slide, please. This shows you the comparison of the 2 footprints of our proposed building compared to the original 7-unit low-rise apartment building. Next slide, please. There is a tree in question that we've had some discussion with the city on, and quite some back and forth because it is a large Norway maple. I had another conversation again with our arborist yesterday. It is a very old tree and poses a significant risk. And as I explained to the city, the tree itself would have to either be pruned severely back, but then even then there's no guarantee that it will survive, on top of the fact that it's a Norway maple and it's a weed tree. We've been able to create, next slide, please. We've been able to create a much more rectangular space for the new tree than was previously on the plans, and therefore a much better opportunity for a significant new urban large tree. And we've also been able to create space for 3 trees on the front versus 2 that were being proposed in the previous application. From my understanding, staff have no concerns at this point. I did email the city with regards to trees last Monday. I did get an email from forestry this Monday asking if there was any further comments, and that's why I spoke with our arborist about that tree. Next slide, please. This just gives you the layouts of the buildings. Let's go to the last slide, please, I think. Possible to go to the last slide. Oh, last slide. Oh, just to mention the 4 tests with regards to this application. It's consistent with the zoning bylaw in the sense that townhouses are permitted use in this location. It's in character of a good transition between what will at some time become a busy, already is a busy, but urban street with up to as much as 10-story type buildings. This is a 3-story townhouse style building, which is in keeping with the adjacent neighborhood of single family and semi-detached homes. And that the official plan is complied with in terms of intensification. It's a gentle intensification in scale with the current neighborhood. And finally, that the provincial policies support intensification in developed areas. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to ask the panel if they have any questions for the applicant. Mr. Barrett?
Just a question through you, Mr. Chair, clarification on the units. Are there, how many bedroom units are there in each unit, or bedrooms in each unit?
So there's 2 plans here at the moment that the client may choose to proceed. So we've shown the larger plan, which would incorporate 4 2-bedroom units.
Okay.
And 2 3.5, almost 4-bedroom units, and 3 studio units.
Okay.
And there is another option that they may build only 2 stories with 6 two-bedroom units and 2 studio units.
Thank you. Ms. Wright, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No, I do not.
Ms. McLean, do you have any questions? Okay. Moving on to planning services. Ms. King, do you have any comments to make about this application?
No further comments from us, but let me know if you have any questions.
Will do. Ms. Wright, do you have any questions for planning? No? Okay.
No.
All right. Mr. Barrett, do you have any questions?
I don't.
Ms. McLean? Okay, nor do I. Okay, so I would like to see if there's anyone from the public that is looking to speak on this application. Do we have anyone from the public looking to speak? Online? No one to speak online. Mr. Delcozzi, it's your show if you'd like to give us the last word.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I've said enough. Let's,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, can I ask the panel if they would like to reserve on this application? All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application will be reserved, sir, and it will be delivered in writing next week in 10 days.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and panel.
Thank you. Now, I believe our last application today has to do with 121 James Cummings. And I'm looking for, well, not Gabby Skolon, but her colleague.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, my name is Timothy Bede with Foten, representing the applicant.
Great. Would you like to make a brief description of your application, sir?
Certainly, we have a presentation. I'm not sure if that's necessary here. I can just give you a brief description if you'd prefer. It's
Sure. Did you get the updated survey to our staff?
I have sent it. I believe they have it, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Yes. And so, yeah, as a summary, the application is for a single detached home at 121 James Cummings Avenue. It's on a lot within an established residential neighborhood along the river there. The existing site is currently vacant as the previous building occupying the site has been demolished. We have been working closely with the committee and the city as well as the RBCA to ensure all of those previously raised concerns and issues have been addressed and met. And we believe that the application is in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw in terms of adhering to the majority aside from the front yard setback relief that we're requiring adhering to the use, height, other provisions of the zoning bylaw. And that intent, the official plan in terms of providing context-sensitive infill development within an established community. It's minor in nature as it is a small reduction in the required front yard setback, and it aligns with the existing character and lot fabric of the properties along this portion of James Cummings. And it represents good planning as it is a quality design of a residential single detached dwelling that promotes the city's objectives in this area in terms of residential intensification on the site. And as mentioned, as is shown, which was the concern previously, has been shown that this is outside of any of the requirements of the setback from the high water mark, as well as the floodplain, which is indicated on the plans submitted and the updated survey submitted.
Okay. Can we bring up that survey plan that
And Mr. Chair, if I may, while we do, I'd like to reiterate a comment that I made during the last hearing. The application is for the reduction in the front yard setback. And that is, although an important consideration in terms of the floodplain and setbacks from the river, not impacted by the location of the floodplain here. The minor variance is specifically to address that front yard setback relief.
okay. So do you want to take us through where the floodplain is there, my friend?
If we can zoom in slightly, yes, Mr. Chair. It's on the near the northwest portion of the corner of the building. So on the bottom of the screen, the building is the darker outlined element on this survey. So you'll need to zoom in and scroll down slightly here. You can see in red the marker indicating the extent of the floodplain here. As you can see, the red dash line comes in towards the that portion, that corner of the building for a momentary period, and then moves away from that. The building is therefore not within the extent of the floodplain. Further, the applicant and owner has committed to flood proofing and other design measures that would ensure that the building and its occupants are not in hazardous way in terms of impacts from the floodplain.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Now, does the panel have any questions? Ms. Wright, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Although it's not in front of us now, it was last time we heard this, was the 6-meter width of the driveway. Still on a lot of the plans, it's showing the full width of the garage and not indicated at 6 meters. I guess I'm just like to confirm that it is going to be 6 meters or less.
And through you, Mr. Chair, thank you, Ms. Wright. Yes, the driveway and the parking area will comply with the provisions of the zoning bylaw and be less than 6 meters in width.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Barrett, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, I do. Just a question for you, Mr. Chair. Clarification. Is a grade and drainage plan going to be part of the one of the studies to be done?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Barrett. The application will have to go through the full permitting process through building permits as well as the RVCA permitting process. And I'll require plans and studies in terms of grading and drainage and everything that would be required through a full permitting process will be provided when we are at that point in this application process.
Ms. McLean, any questions? I don't have any questions either. I'd like to move on to planning services. Ms. King, do you have any questions or comments?
Nope, I'm all good unless you guys have any questions for me.
Okay. Ms. Wright, do you have any questions for planning? No. Mr. Barrett?
No, I don't.
Ms. McLean? No, no further questions. Now we'll see if there's anyone from the public. Is there anyone from the public that'd like to make a comment on this application? Anyone online? No, no one online. So the last word then is up to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we do appreciate everyone's patience as we've navigated this one issue that we had to address. We believe that the application has been shown to be meeting the 4 tests and with outside of the extent of the floodplain. And so we appreciate your time and effort on this, and we look forward to hearing your decision.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask the panel if they'd like to reserve on this application. All in favor of reserving, please raise your hands. This application will be reserved and you'll receive our written decision in 10 days. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I believe that ends our hearings for today. Thank you all very much for your time, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.